Okay, so here's this eco dye batch all dried and ironed up, and I decided to call this one Subtle Forest because it is so subtle. Now what I did with this one, of course I sprayed with my alum solution, and here's my bottle. Here's my alum. You find this in the spice section at the grocery store, and I do 40 to 50% in the large squirt bottle here with hot water, otherwise your alum won't mix. And then I squirt each paper both sides with the alum and then lay down my botanicals. If you're interested in a full tutorial of this, please check out Twilight Forest in my Eco Dye playlist. And I used to boil these, well, not boil, just get them really almost to a boil, but not quite, for about 2 to 2.5 hours. I don't do that anymore. I do an hour and then I let it cool for a half hour, and I have found that to be perfectly sufficient. So you can play around with it. I never let my pan boil over because I usually use dye. In this kit I did not use any dye, but I don't want my dye water spattering over. Now also this kit, I had a lot of rusty bits in my pan. So, and that was the only color outside of the botanicals and the onion skin that this kit got. So here's some more onion skin. Sometimes I use onion skin and sometimes I don't. It can be one of those things that can be really beautiful and leave some really amazing texture, and it can also be really frustrating as it can leave not so pretty marks in your eco dyes. So play around with it. I found that the darker ones are from the red onion, so I'm probably in the future gonna kind of get away from the red onion. Now it looks good in these with no dye, but when you're doing a kit that's got dyed color in it, sometimes it just doesn't look that great to have those in. They can tend to print with a lot of green, I've noticed, and this part right here looks like an ink spatter to me, which I think is really, really beautiful, but it's so dark and so blotchy, so that's a little aggravating to me. These are aspen leaves here. This kit is a whole lot of aspen leaves, and then I did some baby's breath in here. And of course some tree branches. Now I had some leftover dye floating around in my pan because I never wash it, so that's where this color is coming from here. I like the subtlety of it. And then this kit I had folded in half, so I got a lot of mirror imaging going on. And then these are the stacked outside covers so they don't line up to a mirror image. A lot of aspen leaves. I love how aspen leaves eco dye. You get such a grab bag of textures out of aspen leaves. So if you have aspen leaves in your area, I really invite you to use them. I think you'll be very happy with your results. So here's the mirror image, and here's the difference between the sides of the aspen leaves. You never get the same. Like this one you can see both, and this you don't even see it on this side really. So very different results going on. And then here, this is the back side of that page we were looking at earlier. This was stacked up against that piece of onion skin because there's that ink splotch again. Now, as I was saying in another batch I did recently, the older the leaves get, they age just like we do, and they get a lot more imperfections later in the season. So I don't mind this stuff. I think it adds to the texture of the kit. But if you don't like that, I would just say collect all your leaves early in the season and then freeze a bunch of them so that you'll have them to last you for all your eco dyeing. I don't mind. I try to make sure no bugs get into the baggie because I'm not into hurting the bugs or anything, and so I try to make sure that I don't do that. But yeah, some of these just things happen to the leaves as they age. They just get a little bit more markings on them. So here's the end of this kit. And yeah, Subtle Forest, I think, is a good name for this kit. It's a very grungy kind of kit. I'm experimenting more and more with not using dye and using different botanicals and using different elements like the onion skin. So far I'm liking the results. So here's this batch, this kit here. It is, of course, 7 double-sided pages to make 14 pages total, and it is linked below. And I'm really glad that you stopped by today, and I would ask that you click like. It helps me so much with the YouTube algorithm. And I invite you, as always, to subscribe to all the fun stuff I've got going on this channel. This winter, I've got all of these kits done, and I'm going to be doing a lot of projects in the winter time once I'm done actually making the papers. So subscribe so you can catch all the fun stuff, and I will see you next time. Have a great day.